The rocks split beneath my back when I hit the ground. For a moment, the world spun red, the sound of my bones louder than the rushing river below. I wanted to scream, but before I could, my husband's broken voice brushed against my ear. "Don't move. Pretend to be dead." His hand, trembling and slick with blood, pressed against mine. Above us, I heard their footsteps retreat, their laughter carried by the wind. My son, my daughter-in-law, the two people I once would have given my life to protect, and in a way, I had. I remember the first time I saw her. My son brought her home, eyes glowing with pride. She had the kind of beauty that disarmed you, delicate but calculated. She hugged me with both arms, whispered, "I've heard so much about you." I believed her. For months, I let her into the family, into my kitchen, into the small spaces of our lives. My son changed too. At first, it was subtle. Phone calls cut short, visits that grew infrequent, the cold edge in his tone when he thought I wouldn't notice. But a mother notices. It was the way he stopped looking at me when I spoke, the way she finished his sentences, as if she already knew what he would say. And then the day I walked past their room and heard her whisper, "Once they're gone, everything will be ours." My breath froze, but I didn't make a sound. That was the moment I buried my grief. I became stone. Lying on that mountain floor, I understood. This wasn't just greed, it was planned. The cliff wasn't an accident, it was an execution. When the footsteps finally vanished, my husband coughed blood and turned his face toward me. His eyes, already fading, carried something darker than pain. "There's more," he rasped. "Your son, he's not yours." The world cracked again, not from the fall, but from his words. "He's mine," my husband admitted, "before you and I married. A mistake. I never told you." The blood roared in my ears. My son, the man who had just tried to kill me, was not even mine, not my flesh, not my blood, a stranger raised on my devotion. The betrayal multiplied, wrapped itself around me like a serpent. But instead of breaking me, it carved something sharper. I didn't scream, I didn't rage, I waited. I healed in silence while the world believed my husband and I were gone. An anonymous call to the police said hikers had fallen. Days later, our bodies were found. At least, that's what the news reported. We were shadows, erased from the world. It was then I began. First, the will. My husband's assets, my own inheritance, everything that had been prepared for our son. Quietly, I redirected it. Lawyers were paid well for their silence. Second, the evidence. That night, when I had overheard her whispering, I had recorded it, a habit of mine, born of distrust I couldn't name back then. Their plot was sealed in my phone, hidden until the right moment. Third, patience. I watched them from afar. They sold our house, they burned through money with the arrogance of victors. My daughter-in-law's smile widened, my son's eyes grew colder. They believed themselves untouchable. Good. Arrogance makes people careless. The confrontation came exactly 1 year later, on their anniversary. They threw a party, extravagant, loud, a declaration of their new life built on the corpses of their past. I walked in, uninvited. The room froze. My son turned pale, as if seeing a ghost. In a sense, he was. "Mother?" His voice cracked. "No," I said, my tone flat. "Not your mother." I let the silence stretch, the crowd whispering. Then I handed the flash drive to the police officer I had invited personally. "Listen to this." Her voice filled the hall, cold and venomous. "Once they're gone, everything will be ours. gasps, faces turned. My daughter-in-law's smile shattered like glass. And then, the will, read aloud by the lawyer who stepped forward. Every asset stripped from their hands, every coin redirected. They owned nothing, not even the roof over their heads. My son looked at my husband then, desperate, searching for help. But my husband's face was a mask of stone. "You should have let us die quietly," I said, "but you wanted everything. Now you'll learn what nothing feels like." They were arrested that night. Attempted murder, conspiracy, fraud. The trial dragged for months, but the evidence was a blade they couldn't dull. I sat in the courtroom every day, not out of duty, but out of resolve. I watched them shrink, watched their arrogance rot into fear. And when the sentence came, 25 years each, I didn't smile. I didn't need to. Now, when I walk the mountain path again, I pause at the cliff where they tried to end me. The wind still howls, carrying the memory of their laughter. But I don't feel sorrow, only clarity. I raised a stranger's son. I loved him more than my own life, and he threw me into the abyss. But the abyss did not take me. It remade me. Justice is not always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet turning of the knife, the slow realization that the ones who betrayed you are trapped by their own hands. And so I leave the mountain with steady steps, my husband by my side. We survived. They did not.